I'm Mr. MegaManFan. This is the PC Engine Files, and today we're going to talk about Raiden, or if you prefer, Raiden. I really don't know the correct answer here because it's like the same thing with Ninja Gaiden or Ninja Gaiden. Everybody has their own preference, and I have to believe that we, as North American gamers, are probably mangling the pronunciation either way. So just take your pick. I'm going to go with Raiden because that's how it reads to me when I look at it. This is a long running series of shooter games that started in arcades in 1990, with the first game being developed by Seibu Kaihatsu and published by Tecmo. The plot is that the game is in the year 2090, where an alien species known as the Crystals invaded Earth, not to be confused with the Crystal Gems of Steven Universe fame. The player assumes the role of the vanquished Crystal Defense pilot duo, taking control of two state-of-the-art Thunder's aircraft to defeat the Crystals and save the Earth. Does that sound like a pretty typical plot for a shooter? Yeah, I would say so. You're always defending the Earth from some alien invasion, or defending some Earth outpost from some alien menace. It's always the same idea. You have to take the shooter and shoot down all the bad guys and protect humanity at all costs. But all costs is definitely going to be a factor when you play Raiden, because I may be alone in this, and maybe the PC Engine port of the game is more so this than in other versions, but I find this to be a particularly punishing shooter. There's no auto fire option unless you set one yourself in the emulator of your choice, but on a standard controller with the standard options the game provides, I can't find a way to auto fire, so I have to keep mashing the button repeatedly, and none of these enemies go down in one hit. Even the basic enemies take a couple of shots, so you're pounding on that button constantly, and it's a little bit of a bullet hell. We're not talking the most obscene or the most fast moving bullets that you'll see in a shooter, but there are a lot of enemies on the screen at one time, and the fact that a lot of them take more than one hit unless you have an upgraded gun like the one that gives you a laser, you're going to be dealing with multiple things firing at you at all times, trying to avoid their shots, trying desperately to knock out the enemies around you. And unless you've just absolutely played this to the point that you've memorized every last detail of Raiden, yeah, you're in for a rough time. And it's sad for me to have to describe it that way, because I think it looks visually impressive in this TurboGrafx/PC Engine port. I can't compare it to the original because I never played the original, but this version certainly looks fine. If it had auto fire, I would probably enjoy it a lot more. You do have bombs that would help you clear out enemies if you had a full stock of them, but it limits you to just 2 or 3. This is not a loadout bomb that replenishes. You get like 3 chances to use it and then you're out. I don't even know if you could pick up more bombs through power-ups, because I don't even survive long enough for that to become a factor. In fact, the game itself must know this is pretty brutally punishing, because it gives you 6 continues and multiple lives per continue. So they are almost assuming you will not make much progress and you will need to use each one of those continues to get anywhere. I did manage to use enough of them to get to this first boss of the first stage, and although I can say that I got there, I can't really get beyond that because there are 2 tanks spreading bullets at you in multiple directions, and even using your entire stock of bombs doesn't take out the first tank, so you have to weave around the moving fire of both enemy tanks as they follow the tracks that their treads roll through, and I get to a point where I'm almost able to evade their patterns and land damage, but I can't land enough damage to destroy either one of the tanks, and inevitably the bullet hell catches up to me. I think part of it is also that your ship, your fighting Vanquish, moves very slowly. Maybe one of the enemy ships drops a speed power up if you can hang on to it and not die, but that hasn't been my good fortune either. Another thing that's punishing about Raiden, at least this particular version of the game, is the price you will pay if you want to own a copy on TurboGrafx 16 or PC Engine. Raiden goes for $71 loose, $123 complete, and $352 new. Yeah, that's going to make it a hard ass to pick up a copy of this game for TurboGrafx 16, but it's not necessarily cheap anywhere. On Atari Lynx it goes for $100 loose, on Jaguar it goes for $46 loose, on PlayStation it goes for $53 loose. It's tough. It's a game you're going to spend a lot of money on. The only relatively affordable version, if you want to call it that, is the Super Famicom release, which I believe is a sequel and not the original. But that one only goes for $19 loose. So that's just about your best option if you want to play the Raiden game. And it has a lot of sequels too that go for various amounts from somewhat stupid to absolutely outrageous. Like, if you want a PAL version of Raiden 3 for PlayStation 2, $103 loose. There's just no getting around the fact this is an expensive game with a cult following and many sequels. And as much as I suck at it, and I'm just going to be honest and say that I suck at it, it is musically and visually compelling enough that it makes me want to keep trying, even though auto fire, more bombs, and a faster moving ship would all make the experience that much more pleasant. But I have a feeling that I'm just going to have to sit down and memorize this and get absolutely perfectly precise at my bullet placement. But it is punishing, not to the point where it's like, I'll never play it again, ever. It's just punishing to the point where it's like, I know I can do better if I was perfect. There are some shooters I play where I feel like even perfection would not help you. There's just no hope. Like Curse, that one I feel like you just can't make any progress in it no matter what. With Raiden, you inch your way towards progress, millimeter by millimeter, centimeter by centimeter, micro inch by micro inch. You get a little bit further with each try, but only a little bit. So I can say this for Raiden, and I don't know if I would qualify this as a recommendation or not, but Raiden is the kind of game where you can sit down, play it for a half hour, make a little progress, and then you're probably going to want to do something else immediately. You'll enjoy that half hour, but then you'll not want to play it for a day or two. It's fun in very limited doses, but that's just me because I suck at it. If you're really good at shooters, I think Raiden might just be for you.